Hi, and welcome to my channel, Laura's Library Card. So today I'm going to be discussing Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is the second time that I have read this book, and there's a lot of plot, so I will give you minimal premise. We are following our main female character of Violet. She has joined, sort of under coercion, the writers quadrant of which is the branch of sort of military in this world that has to do with riding dragons. She is basically spending a huge chunk of this book trying to survive and attending this school where she is learning. Actually, it's sort of unclear what she's learning, but it's like strategy and then ultimately hoping to survive to in hand-to-hand combat and surviving to get to bond with dragon or dragons in her case because she's super special. And ultimately, dragon riders are sort of like frontline top defense offense for the war against the other country that has like griffins or something. So yeah, it's mostly Violet at this school trying to survive, constantly in threat of danger and death. And here's the thing. Let me tell you something. This book's not really that good. Like, from a writing and a construction standpoint, the writing is kind of clunky. It sometimes is juvenile. It's definitely repetitive. There's some stuff that doesn't make sense. There's really important information that is left to the end from like a structural standpoint. There's big chunks that like are kind of pointless. The characterization is not amazing, but it's fucking fun. Okay, there is something really, in my personal opinion, and the other 2.5 million people who read it and finished it, obviously not everyone, but a huge majority of people absolutely love this book. There is something readable and devourable and engaging about the book, about the writing, about the characters. It was a phenomenon for a reason. Okay, so I actually reread this book. I read it for the first time at the start of 2024, and yeah, it's very fast paced. It's very a ton of plot. In a lot of ways, a lot of those plot sequences and elements become like not important pretty much right after. It's sort of like she needs to survive, and guess what, like this is the first book in a series. Like this book is 500 something pages long. Like we know that she's the main character, she's going to survive the whole time. Like, so it kind of almost takes a little bit of that tension out, but I do appreciate that Violet gets hurt multiple times throughout this book, and people show her up, and she gets wounded, and it's not a perfect smooth sailing. But also, I sort of feel like she should have died because of everyone's constantly like, "You're so weak, you're so small, you have no skills, you're constantly like breaking bones and stuff," and yet she's fine. So whatever. But yeah, this book is just, it's a lot of plot. It's very engaging, keeps you turning pages, kept me listening in my case, listening to the audiobook. I was intrigued. There is a sort of kind of love triangle that happens here. I think, retrospectively, I think the love triangle is very weakly done because the her potential love interests are the guy that she like grew up with, and we are told over and over like, oh, Dane was my best friend for my whole life and yada yada yada, and then like, but we never get to see any of that relationship really on page. Like she runs into Dane once she gets to the school, and then he like kind of sucks from the first time that we really get to see him, and so it never really makes it, like he's never really a contender in my opinion for her feelings, and so the like love triangle tension that could have been there is lost in my opinion. Now, conversely, she is kind of like instantly attracted to and into Xaden, who is her like enemy that she shouldn't be into. And ultimately, even though she has very sizzling, high tension chemistry with this young man, Xaden, there's not really very clear reasons. I mean, I do think that over the course of the book, she manages to get a fair like assessment of his character, and she sees the actions that he takes that are demonstrably like moral and good for her and for other people, but also like he's kind of an asshole to her the whole time. So yeah, the actual reasons why she would like fall in love with him are a little sparse in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, she this is a very classic like she is the chosen one kind of situation where she gets not just one but two dragons, and of course one of them is like the most powerful dragon of all the dragons, and she is, you know, not good at physical combat, but as soon as all the magic stuff comes along, like she's pretty good at that. And yeah, so in and of itself, it's not the best, but I had a really fun time. So I had a fun time rereading Fourth Wing. I don't think it's a perfect book. I think it is very fun and engaging. A lot of the information and meat of the book that is relevant for the setup of the whole trilogy or series, and that is definitely the setup for the second book and introduces a lot more overarching like theme. A lot of that is really crammed in the last like couple chapters, like 50 pages, 60 pages, 100 pages, I don't know, of this book. And to some extent, that means that it's really like back heavy, and it definitely changes things and leaves you the reader as well as our characters in a different spot, like at just towards the end. Like we get all the way up to, I don't know, 80% of the book, and then that last 20% kind of suddenly takes a left turn, and we are, in my opinion, right there with Violet as she is experiencing everything. And I absolutely enjoyed the very last chapter of the book from Zayden's perspective, and I thought the narrators did a good job by, you know, having a new narrator for that. So I am definitely intrigued as to where this book is going, where the story is going. Do I think it's the best thing ever? No. Is it something that was engaged with and had fun time? Yes. The last thing I'm going to say is that when I first heard about this book and was seeing how it was so popular, for 5 seconds I thought that maybe this was like a human dragon pairing situation, and then when I saw that it was so popular, I was like, no, that's not for everyone, like that's not going to be what this is. But I was hearing so much stuff that was saying that this was like so smutty and like so steamy, and I do think there's a lot of tension slash angst slash slow burn sexual chemistry throughout this book, but there are like 2 sex scenes, so it's really not very smutty. And in both of those sex scenes, it's from her perspective, and she's into it, and she's with a guy that she likes and or loves, and is like, who cares about her? So it's like, I don't know. I didn't feel that it was like so smutty the way some people thought it was, or you know, some of these reviews are like, oh, the smut, and I'm just like, okay, guys, oh, chill. So yeah, ultimately, I'm gonna give Fourth Wing like a solid 4 stars just for the fun of it, and I'm glad I reread it, and I do intend to continue the series. Let me know if you hated this book or why you absolutely loved it down in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!